The Woman in the Black Hat. This is a true with true events. This is a story that happened to me when I was in junior high. I just turned 41, so this was when I was between 14 16 years of age. Many moons ago, I still remember it like it was yesterday. Anyway, I remember my friend Jorge was one of a few who were considered one of my best friends. There was a small group of us at the time. We always hung out in school, after school on the weekends, ECT. Well, anyway, I remember this was when my friend Jorge's mother had just bought a house from her boyfriend's neighbor because her boyfriend knew she was tired of living in an apartment and was looking for a house. And he saw this as a perfect opportunity. Since it was next door to his family's house, he grew up in and actually still lived in with his family and cousins at the time. So she had just finished the process of buying the house from the previous owners and was ready for moving in. She got settled in, and now her and Jorge were about to spend their first week there. That whole week at school, Jorge is excited, telling me how cool his new house is and how much better it was than all his old apartments, which I was happy to see him so happy. It made me feel excited for him. And the best part is, my mother lived with my grandmother, her mom at the time, which was like 5 minutes from Jorge's new house, so it made hanging out much simpler than before, especially being kids in high school in the early 90s. Well, the first weekend of Jorge living at the new house is coming up. After hearing him brag all week, Jorge asked if I would want to come hang out during the weekend, since they were BBQing with his mom's boyfriend and his family. And of course, I didn't pass up the opportunity. So immediately after school that Friday, we all headed over to Jorge's. It was a fun day, to say the least. It was like two houses in one, because everyone was going freely back and forth from Jorge's house to Jorge's mom's boyfriend's house, both having food and music. It was great. Anyway, the nighttime finally approaches and it's getting late. I tell Jorge's and his mom I'm heading home. Jorge's mom said, "It was late, maybe I should stay the night and go home in the morning when the sun was up." Jorge was like, "Yeah man, the whole family is gonna put on a new horror movie and watch it. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was the movie I Know What You Did last summer. It was just released on VHS at the time. Well, about 30 minutes into the movie, I ask if I can go to restroom. Jorge mom says, "My electricity won't be turned on until Monday. I've been borrowing electricity from my boyfriend next door until then." Which meant she was running electrical cords from his house, which in those days people did when needed. And they migrated them to her living room, meaning the rest of the house was dark. And in those days, we didn't have cell phone like today with little flashlights. We had house phones. And if you had a cell phone, it was huge and didn't have a flashlight, and they cost a lot more than today. When I get done using the bathroom, I head back towards the living room, guiding myself by touching the walls. I decided to take a detour to the kitchen to get something to drink out of the ice chest. I saw a silhouette of a woman in what looked like a 1950s style dress, but a fancy one. She had a big hat, roses on it. The top part of her dress hugged her figure, but the bottom part was wide like a bell. It was an old style dress. I assumed it was Jorge's mom's boyfriend's grandma. I told her, "Excuse me, I didn't see you there because it's dark without light," and went about my way to the living room where I can see much easier due to the TV being a big screen. I told Jorge's mom, "Sorry, I almost didn't see your boyfriend's grandma in the kitchen, but don't worry, she's safe." That's when they all looked at me like I was crazy. Everyone's jaw dropped. That's when Jorge's mom's boyfriend was like, "Grandma? And my grandma lives far. What you mean, old lady is in the kitchen?" So he walked in there trying to get light from his lighter, but no one was there. He searched the whole house, no one. That's when he asked me, "How this lady look?" I described her as a lady who had great taste in clothing, because it was a fancy 1950s style dress with a huge hat that had roses on it. He then starts walking back and forth dramatically, like he was trying to get his point across through emotion, that he was really scared about something. That's when he tells me, "Hold on, I'll be right back. As a matter of fact, everyone follow me. Let's go next door to my house." So we all follow him, where all the lights work perfectly fine, and he goes and pulls out a picture from an old canister that held some of his family photos. He pulls two from the stack and shows me the first one. It's a picture of his grandma, and what do you know, a lady who resembled the woman I saw in the kitchen, even had her style of clothing and everything. Not the same thing I saw her wearing, but a similar style. Then he pulls out a picture someone took at that same lady's funeral, standing next to the casket, crying because they were best friends. And in that pic, the lady from the kitchen was wearing the same dress in her casket that she was wearing when I seen her in the kitchen. That's when Jorge's mom's boyfriend said, You saw my grandma's best friend. She originally owned the house and is related to the people Jorge's mom bought the place from. That whole night, they all migrated everything to Jorge's mom's boyfriend's house that they considered important until that following Monday when Jorge's power would be turned on. They didn't want to be in there while there was no electricity. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I just turned 41, and I remember everything about that day and what led up to that day like it happened yesterday. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with this community. You can help pass on the story whenever you find yourself at a campfire and want to scare your family and friends. May have a BBQ while doing it, haha. The people in the story I didn't refer to by name was intentional to keep them private.